So, you want to buy an off market property, but have no idea how to get in touch with the owner? Well, today's episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast is just for you. Hi, I'm Becky Nova, the founder of Lady Landlords and your host of today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about skip tracing. Okay. So, you might have heard this concept, and today we're going to really dive into what it is and how you can use it. Skip tracing is simply how to find the owner of a property and then how to contact them. This is really kind of that first step within cold calling, identifying off-market properties. So I'm just going to put a little caveat out here. If you have not seen our off-market properties webinar, make sure to stop right now. Go watch that webinar. You can find that on our YouTube channel at Lady Landlords and go watch that. That will walk you through exactly how to set that up to start with, okay? But a large part of that, once you can find that property, now we need to figure out how are we actually reaching out to that owner and starting now that conversation. What's great about off-market properties is right now, this is something that I know a lot of people are looking for because one, there's kind of slim pickings right now on the MLS. I personally feel that so many people just sold their properties back in 2021, 2022, especially when interest rates were so much lower, that now all of a sudden there's just a little bit less on the market. In 2023, there were actually 20% less properties on the market than there were back in 2022. So personally, a lot of the properties that I was looking at when I bought my most recent triplex back in November 2023, a lot of them were falling apart at the inspection. Literally, the deal just collapsed because we thought the house was going to. The inspection report just came back horrible. And it was just to a point that the numbers didn't make sense anymore because of how much work needed to be done because of all the problems that were revealed in that home inspection. So starting to identify other properties off market not only brings you different properties that you would not have known about, but also gives you the opportunity for creative financing opportunities. This could be either doing seller financing, sub two, assumable loans, whatever else may be in that category that you're saying, hey, I'm really not necessarily looking to go pay 7.5%, 8% in interest rates right now. I really want something that's going to give me an opportunity to get something at a much better rate. This is definitely a strategy that you want to understand. So like I said, go check out that off-market webinar to really learn about how to start to identify those properties. But skip tracing itself is specifically just how to reach out to these people. And there are so many different ways to do this, okay? So one of the most popular ones is to just start to find their phone number. It's so important to identify who is the actual owner and then simply give them a call or you can shoot them a text, okay? Here, we do want to make sure that we are also thinking about that do not call list because I know a lot of us also as investors, as much as we want to use these strategies to be able to contact sellers, we might not necessarily like when people do it to us. So we also have an episode on the Lady Landlords podcast all about how to effectively cold call. Okay. We actually brought on a cold calling specialist. So if you need a script, if you need to know exactly what you should be saying in that text message on those phone calls, that's a great episode to go back and take a listen to. So I'll make sure to link those two episodes down in the comments here for you. But in that, what's really important is to understand that it's businesses that cannot contact people if they're on a do not call list. Okay. So Becky can pick up the phone and call somebody that they found their phone number for, but Lady Landlords cannot pick up the phone and go and call somebody if that person is on a do not call list. So do make sure to understand that difference between whether you're calling as an individual or if you are calling as a business, because we don't want to be out of compliance here. Okay. But there are so many different programs that are able to give you that information of somebody's phone number, okay? For example, I had already mentioned that we have a webinar about off-market properties. On that, I actually give you a demo of how I use a software called PropStream that will actually get you those phone numbers and will make sure that they are the right phone numbers to really be able to contact the person that owns that property with like 80% accuracy. That's fantastic. So PropStream also offers us as Lady Landlords a discount on their software. So I will also make sure to drop that discount code down in the comments. So that way you can also go try a free trial, check it out, see how it really works and see how great it is to all of a sudden be able to identify a property that's off market that you can pick up and hopefully negotiate with and actually get in touch with the seller that you can then have a conversation with using those cold calling scripts. So you can usually get the phone numbers through skip tracing. You can also get clearly an address for the property, but not every owner, especially those of us that are landlords, live at the properties that we actually own. So with skip tracing, you can also get the address of the owner. You can actually do that not only if they are an individual, but also if they own the property as an LLC that would also be registered. Another great way to do that, besides PropStream, there are multiple other software systems out there that will help you and identify what that is. It's usually a very cheap cost. We're talking pennies per address that you were looking for, per owner. So it's a great opportunity to really kind of get those lists so that way you can reach out to people. This is something that now not only do you have their phone number, you can also send them something in the mail, but you can also reach out to them probably through email. A lot of these systems will also give you an email that's associated with that owner of the house. So you can also reach out to them there. It's important to put together that campaign of how you want to communicate with them. Okay. There's clearly a very different passivity to sending a mailer and asking then somebody to reach out to you versus having somebody that you're calling really just pick up the phone and talk to you in that point in time. So really creating that strategy of how you are going to connect with that person and reach out is important. And we're going to talk about that again in a minute. So now you have phone, now you have emails, now you have mail that you can actually go with. But if your software isn't necessarily finding the numbers, or if you don't want to go that strategy, also one of the best ways to be able to find people, one of the best inventions that real estate investors has, technology. Through technology, man, there are so many different opportunities of what we can do to find out almost anything. Between social media, between LinkedIn, between Google searches, you can really be able to find and identify information for people that you can then reach out to. This, once again, this works if you're looking for an individual or if you were looking also for an LLC. Now, you might be thinking, well, great, Becky. Now I use that PropStream software. I now have a list. I have 10,000 names on it. What do I do here? Well, what's great is that one, you should definitely pick up the phone and call some people. Okay. You need to put together those scripts. Like I said, you can use our scripts from the cold calling episode, but you need to do that yourself a couple times. Okay. Now, I understand the first time you pick up the phone and call a stranger, especially in this day and age when we usually text people instead of call, that can be really scary. So use those scripts from that episode. But understanding how that process works and how that flow should go is going to mean so important for you to be able to do. So then you can outsource it. It is so easy to hire VAs or other companies out there. One of my good friends, Diana Camilo, she actually has a whole company, so I can put you in touch with her if you want, all about skip tracing, and they will do it for you. They have teams that will actually make those calls on your behalf, and they will go through calling every single day, all those people, identifying leads, starting that conversation for you, and then really making sure to set those appointments for you with those motivated sellers. So in that way, you can do what's best for you, which is getting out there and negotiating with those sellers. And in that space, that is where we always want to be those problem solvers. Real estate boils down to problem solving. How can you solve not only your problem and what you want to get out of a situation, but also the seller that is motivated and has a reason that they're looking to sell their property? We need to identify why it is that they want to sell that property and see how we can make their need match with our need. The last two things that I'm going to say about this topic are, one, we need to respect people's boundaries, right? We see often in Lady Landlords, people being very frustrated with getting phone calls or very late at times, or maybe on weekends at times that they just don't really feel appropriate or after they've said no multiple times. Okay. When people put boundaries and say, hey, this isn't really right for me, that's great. Go to the next number. It's perfectly fine. It's okay when people say no. So please respect other people's boundaries if this is something that they're not interested in. Okay. If somebody says, no, don't call me again, that probably doesn't mean go drive over to the house and knock on the door and ring the doorbell. Okay. So be careful with that one. The second thing is, within this, you're going to get a lot of no's. Okay. And I understand what that's like when now you're making call after call and you're speech telling no, 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 no. There was a great book that I was given years ago when I was working in nutrition. And at that point in time, I was working in sales, and this book was called Go for No. And it talked about the story that if you went out and really just said, hey, my goal this week is to get 4 yeses. I want to get 4 sales in this business. I want to get 4 appointments, whatever it is for you. When you set that, then, okay, Monday you go out, you get your 2 yeses. Tuesday you go out, you also get 2 yeses. Well, now you're done. And that sounds great. But if you go for no and you look at every opportunity and every time someone tells you no, that it really just gets you closer to the next yes, you'll actually be more productive and you will grow faster. So now let's look at this. If you go back through this, but looking for 4 no's, right? So let's say now you go out on Monday, you get your 2 yeses, just like in the first example. Now Tuesday you go out, you also get your 2 yeses, but you still have no no's. Now on Wednesday, you still have to go out. Let's say you get 1 yes, and now you get your 2 no's. But now on Thursday, when you go out, you get another yes, and then you get your last 2 no's. Now you got your 4 no's. Now you can stop. Now you met what your goal was. But look, now throughout that week, you got 6 yeses. You were able to actually do better over the week by going through those no's, because every time you get a no, that just gets you closer to another yes. So it's okay when people tell you that they don't want what you have. That does not mean that somebody else does not. So it's really important for us to start realizing that when somebody says no, that's not saying no to us. That's not saying no to who we are. That's not saying that we did something wrong. That's not saying no to who we are as a person. That's saying that the opportunity, that the deal is just not right for them. But there are countless other people out there that are still going to want what you offer. All right. So take that with you as you go out, as we start getting into creative financing, as we start putting deals together. So if you listen to today's episode, make sure to head over to the Lady Landlords Facebook group. Let us know which of these strategies that you want to apply, which one of these things that you want to try. And if you are willing to be one of those high achievers that's going to go for no, put your goal of your no's over in Lady Landlords. Let us help you. Let us cheer you on. Let us help keep you accountable, because that's really what our community is there for, to really help you enjoy this process and scale your rental portfolio for financial freedom. So thank you very much for joining me for today's episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. Do make sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss another episode of our podcast. We release new episodes every single Tuesday. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all next Tuesday for the next episode of the Lady Landlords Podcast. Thank you for listening to the Lady Landlords Podcast. If you're feeling stuck in your real estate investing journey, visit lady-landlords.com to book a 15-minute orientation call with me and see if you're ready to join our mentorship program. Or you can subscribe to our newsletter and join our Facebook group for exclusive real estate investing tips and offers. Invest with confidence. Become a Lady Landlord today.